resurrected back to life. Done my time and served my sentence. Dress me up and watch me die. If it feels good, tastes good, it must be mine. Dynasty decapitated, you just might see a ghost tonight. And if you don't know now, you know. I'm taking back the crown. I'm all dressed up and naked. I'm seeing what's mine and taken. Oh yeah, the crown.
All right, you hear the music, you already know it's time to go ahead and summon the demon and get hell of a show started on here. And we're going to have a blast with this thing going on here. We are looking at having a great guest joining us here very shortly. Before we do, make sure we get all those shares out there. Let's go ahead and make sure that we got people go ahead and subscribe. And if you have not already, make sure you don't miss out on all the content we got going on. And then we're going to go ahead and delve right into this. Tonight is a little bit different than the regular shows that I got on here. And I say that on some of them, but tonight's actually got kind of a theme on here because tonight it's fight night. We're going to have some fun on this and talk about a great project that's going on, get to know the creator of it, and maybe even some prizes. You never know. So let's go ahead and introduce my guest on here. This is Pat Schand.
Hey, how's it going? I'm about to sneeze. Jesus Christ. The timing, dude. The timing. Jeez.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I should have done it later. I mean, I could have caught you right with a mouthful of food or something, but like, you want something else?
Yeah. Hey, I am Pat Schand. Thanks for having me, man.
Hey, no problem at all. It's my pleasure to have you on here. Go ahead and let them know before we get started into too much of this and everything. Just give them that. Let them know where you're coming from, what you got going on.
All right, sure. I am a writer. I write comics, novels, theater, all that stuff. Right now, I have my 24th Kickstarter going on. Kickstarter is where I bring most of my creator-owned stuff to my company, Space Between Entertainment. My current campaign is called MMMA, Mixed Magical Martial Arts. I co-wrote this with Bob France and Kevin Cuff, art by Patrick Mulholland. It is about a regular, standard, disgraced UFC fighter who, to continue her career, she has to join an underground fight club of magic users, but she has no powers. So she is facing these mages, psychics, seers, and she has to figure out how she's going to compete when all she has is her fists, feet, and brain.
Awesome. I mean, that right there, that drags everybody in right there. Okay, don't go over and click the link just yet because it's embedded in the feeds. Watch the rest of the show, then click that link. I'm just letting you know. He's already got you hooked right there, but we're going to talk a little bit more and then get you all over there to it. So you said 24th that you've done on this. So you've had some experience with Kickstarter and worked on some fairly large projects from what I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
Some of that I've actually backed as well. So I'm familiar with your work.
Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Oh, absolutely. This is something that's kind of different than the regular style that I see you writing before. Different storyline that's in there. We're going to talk more about this in general, but the kind of thing that I want to point out on this one, my take on this, I see a lot of Dragon Ball-esque look to it, which is awesome. Of course, she has no powers, but the other ones do. So it kind of seems like that. Like, how do you go ahead and dodge a punch that's coming at you at 200 miles an hour, but you have no powers? I mean, how do you get past that? It's a lot of mind games, mindset things, but there's also some behind the scenes things that are going on as well. So it's an in-depth story. I like that.
Thanks very much. Yeah, it is, it's in my Destiny New York universe. So we're using the rules of magic that I set forth in there, which is that it's our world, but as if magic were integrated and were commonplace. But not everyone can use it, and not everyone can use it to the ability of a mage, which is someone who can use magic without any tools to facilitate it. So these are people who can channel magic in their bodies, and that is who Bailey, the lead character, is going to be going against here. Nice.
Now, talking about some of the other books that you've had in the past, I mean, you've had some pretty big titles that have been out there and done some really great numbers on Kickstarter that I want to kind of go over. And I had on my list over here, of course, Destiny New York is a big one on there. You've also had the most recently you had Thirsty and Cheeky was on there. Cheeky did very well. And then you've had some other ones as well. I mean, how do you come up with the material, for the things that you've got on here and the diverse nature of there's a whole bunch of different stories and none of them are actually the same thing by any means.
Yeah. It's, I've always loves writing. I think about ideas constantly. I have far more ideas than I have time to execute them. And that's one of the things that I always hear. I do these panels at Comic Cons and stuff, and people write me, and young writers are so worried about someone stealing their huge Hollywood seller big idea. And I'm like, listen, when you start doing this and when you really get involved in writing, ideas are going to come to you every single day. The idea to a writer is just the very basics. It's just about seeing if you can turn it into something that's going to be meaningful for you. There have been so many ideas that I thought were going to make great comics that time just passed. I didn't get to it. And I look back and I'm like, wow, I wouldn't do that now. That isn't a book that I would go through with now. When if I had back then, it could have turned into something, but ideas do come to me all the time. And now, since I have so many titles, I'll often think about folding new ideas into existing books that I'm doing to see if I can just get new energy on a title or just keep things rolling. But no, man, I mean, I wish that every idea I had could be a book, but unfortunately, no.
Sometimes it's that way, though. You have to take pieces of it and see if you can, like you said, fold it into a much larger universe.
Yeah.
But you want to make sure you're not mimicking the same characters in the different books, and you're definitely not doing that from what I've seen so far on here. It's pretty awesome that you have this big of a setup on here, and there's no copycats in any of the alter books that are out there, which is awesome.
Oh, thank you. Character is very important to me. That's I write first primarily from character. I'm not sure if you can hear my cat screaming right below me. He's just whining to be in my lap. I think of there's a lot of me in these books, but even though I'm reflecting myself and people that I know and things that I've experienced through character, it's important to me to make each one feel different, to express something different in every title, in every character. And some of these books have these gigantic cast of characters too, like Destiny New York. My idea going into that book, beyond just the concept, which is it follows a magical girl who had a prophecy and she completed it when she was young, and now we pick up with her when she's in her 30s trying to figure out life after Destiny. So it's kind of this metaphor for the child star idea. But we have so many characters and so many supporting characters that my core principle in Destiny New York is that when a character begins to feel as if they're just facilitating plot or someone else's arc, I make them a main character. I find out who they are. I spend scenes with just them. I'll follow them home. I'll see their life, just so I'm never doing I'm never doing plot driven. I'm always trying to mine for character and find out different ways to explore myself and my ideas through different points of view.
And it's cool that you're, like I said, it's great that you're able to do that. And you got so many titles out there. Is there one particular title that stands as one of your favorites that you've done so far?
Oh yeah, I mean Destiny New York, because it's the one that I spend the longest with. It's been going for 6 volumes, 2 special books, and now I think 5 spinoffs. So it's a world that I've explored very much. And I mean, for example, in Mixed Magical Martial Arts, Bailey is a character who was in the first 3 volumes of Destiny New York. So we're seeing her in a very different light in this book, but I do feel as if it also feeds the overall vision of that book and the world of that book. So that is where I go to express, my hopes, dreams, fears, and sadness.
Oh, absolutely.
All that stuff.
You've got some, I mean, granted, we both know that you have some NSFW style, books that are out there as well. But even with those, they still have great stories that are in there that unfold and kind of give you a basis for, some foundation to it. It's not just about the art, which is phenomenal, but there's other things that are involved in there too that kind of lead to the story, which makes it a page turner overall.
Yeah.
So my point is that, you're creating things like this and you're able to take something that's, NSFW and make it to where it's not only pretty to the eyes, but it's actually so cool that you're wanting to read it going, that's actually a great story. It was actually had a little more emphasis on things there than you thought it may have done. And it gives it a lot more depth, which is very cool.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that's that is purposeful with Cheeky and Thirsty. We the idea was that there's in porn and stories about sex, so often you see it where the structure of the story is setup and the climax or payoff is the sex. So it's all leading towards sex. And then when that's over, it's over. I wanted to do stories about sex that weren't structured that way, but were about the people. That I would use the sex the same way as Destiny New York uses magic or drama or romance, where it's integrated in the story and it's part of it, but at its core, we're telling stories about people, books that do this also. Sunstone by Stepan Sejic is one. That book has, it's about BDSM, but the book isn't just leading toward a BDSM scene. It has it integrated, and you're learning about characters. And that book, I feel, is probably most comparable. That and Strangers in Paradise are most comparable to Destiny New York, even though both are set in different genres. So I thought with Cheeky and Thirsty, you just approach sex the same way as I approach any other story or genre. And people have been connecting to it. That Cheeky is by far my biggest campaign so far. And it's obviously it's partly because of the art, it's partly because of the topic sexuality. These campaigns tend to do very well. But also the response that I received to the first time that we did this on Thirsty was, it was out of this world. It showed us that people want more stories like this, where it's not just, baiting readers to buy a story with art that is 100% sex. It's character-based,
Yes. And that's definitely what I wanted to bring up, because even with this one here, even though it doesn't have the ties as some of the other ones do, it has a very in-depth story to what I've seen so far in this one, which, like I said, we were going to kind of bring up, because it's not only just the fights, it's the fighting outside of the ring with themselves on some things that are, going on in some internal battles. In fact, I want to go ahead and read something that you have on your campaign that really stood out to me.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Spinning out of the pages of Destiny New York is MMMA, Mixed Magical Martial Arts, a fantasy sports graphic novel about fighting your way back to the life you want to live. That is a powerful statement.
It's pretty good. I forgot that I wrote that. That's pretty good. It's pretty good.
That right there, whenever I saw that, I had already gone through and done some research, looked at some stuff. You sent me some of the pages and things to look through.
Yeah.
But after I saw that, it put it in a whole different perspective. It's no longer a fight book. It's a fight book where it's a fight in the ring and out as well, because you're always fighting to improve yourself, to do better in things. And depending upon, what you want, sometimes other people don't agree with it, but you still want to fight for it because it's something you want. And I like that you did that in here.
Yeah, we wanted to do an underdog story and thought it would be powerful to start Bailey. In Destiny New York, we show her as this successful UFC fighter. And then I thought it would be so much more interesting to really knock her down to the very bottom, lower than she thought possible. Her career, and in her perspective, her life is pretty much over. So when we meet up with her and she joins this league that she feels completely outclassed in, it isn't only an underdog story in that she doesn't have the power to compete here. She also is at her absolute lowest and wants to see if she can build herself back up again. So yeah, I totally forgot that I wrote that, but that's pretty good past me.
Absolutely. Now we're going to show some artwork from this. We're going to show some covers, then we're going to show some interiors. Cool. As we're doing that, I'm just going to ask you some other, questions revolving around you as a creator and try to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're going to show some things like this is Bailey right here, correct?
That's Bailey. That is the main cover by Eliza Romboli. She drew Destiny New York's volume 3 and 4. Amazing artist. And yeah, we have a lot of covers from her on different projects. And this is her delivering a Bailey. She's the star of the show. And it was particularly fun to see, too, because when Eliza was drawing Destiny New York, Bailey was already kind of out of the characters' lives. So this was her first time drawing who had been before her run of a pretty major character.
Awesome. And then we've got this one here, which is actually, this is the character that, if I'm not mistaken, she lost to. And then there's a connection that's being built, even though she lost to her within the story as well.
Yes, that's Noelle. She runs her league in MMMA. She owns a gym, and she's the one who kind of pulls Bailey in on the pretenses of a date, when really she wants to see if she can turn Bailey into a cash cow, because she has all these fighters under her company that they're incredible mages, psychics. They're good at the magic side, and she's training them to be fighters. Bailey, she sees as having raw power and skill as a fighter. So she wants to sort of see if she can have Bailey influence her fighters and maybe have her fighters bring out some magic in Bailey to create an ultimate weapon here.
Ooh, that would be something there. And then, of course, you got again, it's showing the buildup, between them. And you don't know if it's something that you can kind of tell by the facial expression. It's, there's something behind the scenes that she's, scheming towards. But
Yeah.
there's also the connection that's there that, you have fighters who have gone head to head in the ring, and now they're going head to head in the locker room here. And you don't know exactly what kind of relationship we're looking at. It makes it where you want to open the book and figure these things out.
Yeah, we definitely wanted to tease it out a bit. This is our Jen St. Ange cover, and she just does great work. Her cover on Cheeky was major, major, major for us, and so we continued the flirty vibe here with these characters of Bailey and Noelle, and we think that readers will be a bit surprised where Bailey's story goes here, with Noelle and without Noelle too.
And now we're going to show some of the interiors while we're talking about some things as well. And these are kind of some of the ones that I chose because they're more of the powerful interiors that I'm looking at on here, because it shows, like I was talking about, the Dragon Ball-esque. This one in particular, you can definitely see, especially that bottom panel right there.
Yeah,
that screams Dragon Ball. I love how that's set up.
Yeah, Patrick, his name is Patrick Mulholland, and he has this great balance between the vibe of American comics and manga. It's a perfect marriage, and yeah, his action here is really, really strong. It shows just the sheer power of Noelle's magic, and you see Bailey, fighting a bit more traditionally, and he is able to bring out character in how he displays the fights. Quite a find, this artist, to me. As soon as we're done with him here, he's moving to a different title for us that is a different vibe, but really it's going to see him stretch in really fun ways.
Nice. Look forward to seeing that for sure. I mean, anytime you can see somebody with that much range that they can go to a whole different title with something different that's out there and still be able to provide that much depth to things, that's somebody you want to hang on to.
Yeah, he's terrific for sure.
And again, some more of the artwork in here we're showing while we're going ahead and communicating on this. I want to go ahead and ask you, what kind of inspiration do you draw from to go ahead and get your work on this? I mean, is there something that you listen to while you're writing or watch in the background, or is it completely quiet? What do you do?
It's mostly quiet. It was less quiet with this because this was a collaborative process with Kevin and Bob. So there was a lot of talking on, we did a Zoom meeting and we talk on chat. So a lot of it was figuring out what the powers were for these characters that would stay in line with what I've built in Destiny New York, but also still grow the universe. So this character here, Deuce, she has the power to use magic to split into two, and it isn't a vision of herself. She's actually splitting in two and having two distinct bodies that will then merge and separate, which we haven't seen in Destiny New York before. So a lot of it was just figuring out how to ride that line with powers that are stunning to the reader while also still not violating our mythology before.
Awesome. And going on to the next panel here. So how much of the story do you have actually written? I mean, how far is the end goal on this thing? Do you have, so many volumes that are, planned out, or are you wanting to keep it to a certain number?
So far I'm thinking one and done. I like this as one volume because with the main title, Destiny New York, if there's anything that I want to explore with MMMA as an organization with these characters, I can always bring them back into the main title. But it was an experiment for me to do a sports book. I wouldn't say no to doing a second volume if it worked out. But this story also feels tight, it feels fun, and it feels energetic. And I think that I kind of want to see characters like Noelle and one of the main opponents that we reveal later on, Mercedes. I want to see how they would vibe with some of the characters in Destiny New York too. So that's part of the fun of having this universe where the books are separate but feed into one another, because people who don't read this, they'll be totally new for the Destiny New York audience if I bring them in. But people who do read this will be like, oh, that's Noelle from,
Right. And that's great that you have that, because it's a standalone enough to where they can come in, from not backing you at this point and say, hey, he's got some great writing. The story is great and everything. I really like this. What else has he done? Right. And that's whenever they can play the catch-up game on there, or, pick and choose what they want to go ahead and read. But like you said, moving forward, those that are actually sticking with this will be able to pick out and go, hey, I know that character. That's actually kind of cool. It's over in this book and not in the regular book now.
Exactly, yeah.
So are you a fan of mixed martial arts and wrestling and stuff like that to get your inspiration for this?
I mean, I'll tell you this, I'm not a sports guy at all. That's partly why I also brought in some help, because, it's funny. I asked Bob and Kevin if they were fans of the sport, and they also said no. But their sense of action in their book Male Shark Bro was like, oh, that's enough, and I have enough of a basis of knowledge of the sport and of the magic, because it's essentially using the basis of UFC style fighting and just mixing magic in. So the rules are entirely ours. But I'm more a fan of some of the fighters, not the actual fight. But there are podcasts that I've watched where Dustin Poirier will go on. I've seen there's hilarious videos of Conor McGregor, just these big personalities that I wanted to explore, because we introduced this role as Bailey just to kind of see her be successful in Destiny New York while our main character Logan was still finding herself. And I don't even know why I chose this sport for her, but it just so naturally led to this idea to blend that and magic and sort of make Bailey into an underdog again.
And I can honestly say, knowing now that you actually are not a fan of the the sports stuff like that, and it still looks as good as it does, that is awesome, because I'm a huge fan of the sports with these and everything. And reading the parts that I've read on here and seeing what's on your campaign page and everything, it looks like you're a super fan of this. So even not being one and doing this, I can only imagine if you were a super fan and did this, would it actually change any at all, or would it be the same? That is awesome how it came out with this.
Well, thank you. It's definitely well researched. I have watched a lot of videos. I have everything that Bob and Kevin wrote together, because our structure is this. I had my overall idea. They broke it down into an outline, and then I rewrote that outline and sort of said, let's go from this final document. Then they scripted, and then I go in and I add pages. I rewrite the script. I make the dialogue. I have a very specific idea of how Bailey speaks and how Noelle speaks, so I revise that, and I sort of do my showrunner's pass. So in that, I've also given a lot of research to styles of fighting too, because I also used to be in karate. I was in Tiger Schulman's karate, which later, after my tenure, became very mixed martial arts based. They began to focus mostly on that stuff, whereas when I was there, it was more of a mixture of sparring, yes, but doing they call it forms, but kata, and more general karate education, but I do have a history there, and I've gotten my ass kicked a lot in that time, so I do know how it feels to take a pretty hard punch there. So some of that comes from experience. A story that I tell sometimes is during my black belt test, you have to fight 3 black belts. First one, pretty even match. The second guy, huge. The Hulk destroyed me. I'm probably still not the same. And then final match was a woman, and she was about my age. And as I was destroyed, I was like limping and shit, And she saw that I was messed up from the previous guy, so she goes, "We've both been fighting all day. let's take it easy on one another, you know? And I'm like, thank you, thank you. So we're sparring, right? And I'm taking it easy, but giving a show. And then all of a sudden, she just starts wailing on me, and she goes, "Come on, go!" And I'm like, "Whoa, you tricked me," you know. So I have some personal experience that kind of leads into this book, but as far as watching the sport, it's mostly just research. Yeah.
That is great. Sorry that you're still not the same after all that, by the way, too.
All good, it's all good.
I mean, that's kind of taken to the nth degree whenever you put that much research into it. I don't know that many creators that'll actually get their rear ends kicked by a monster and a female and somebody they're evenly matched with just to get some experience on this.
Yeah.
No, that's cool with this. It works. I mean, the storyline is cool. It's an interesting setup on there. The campaign page is done very well. It's very very fluid, very easy to read. The question I got for you now is, you've got a lot of backers, of course, on this. 427 backers as of the recording of this, which is awesome. How do you draw in new people on each one? I mean, it seems like you keep growing an audience more and more and more on the backers. How do you keep getting more new people to go ahead and follow you?
Well, I'll tell you this. It does become difficult because on every volume of Destiny New York, I offer catch-up tiers, and I've been doing that for years. So every time I would think that there'd be less new readers, and that happens sometimes, but on the later volumes, like volume 5 had a lot of new readers, more than ever. So that was great for me. And then on spin-offs like this, I offer like a Bailey's backstory type tier where readers can pick up this book as well as the first 3 volumes, which is the ones that she appeared in. So it's more of like an introductory package. And on some books, I see a lot of that. Like on my I have this ongoing spin-off called Smoke Weed See the Future, and that is, it follows a seer who develops a strain of marijuana that allows normal people, to see what she does, which is their future. And that, when we did volume 1, the catch-up tiers on that were really stacked. People really went in, and that drew in a lot of new readers. A bit less here, just because I think that people already have the books. I do look for ways to find new people by introducing new artists. Like we did. Leona Kangas did a cover for this one, and she is a very collectible artist who people love in the direct market. And I wanted to see if that could bring new Kickstarter backers in for us, and to an extent it did. But I also it's about feeding both beasts, like searching for new ways to bring in readers while also feeding the people who have been supporting me for years. One of the coolest parts about all this is, during what would be considered the most boring part, which is actually packing and shipping the books, one of the most fun parts is seeing names that I've seen for years now. Like, oh, so-and-so is back supporting me after 6 years of doing this. And that, it's very I don't want to say humbling, but it just makes me feel good. It makes me feel like I'm not doing this just in a vacuum. It makes me feel like part of a team of people that have rallied around these characters and ideas, and that's very it warms my heart. It's cool to know that people actually look forward to and follow and read the books. It's sick.
That is great that you're actually able to be able to spot those like that, because I mean, over 400 backers, and you can actually look on there and go, hey, I remember you from being here, and you and you and you. That's cool, because you kind of remember the names of the people who are there that actually kind of take the time to make sure that they back each one that they possibly can.
Oh, I do for sure. In fact, while I'm doing this, I'm helping Black Mask Studios. They just launched a Kickstarter focused imprint, and I'm helping run that. And we launched our first Kickstarter this past Wednesday. It's called Don't Avert Your Eyes, a There's Nothing There comic. It's by Patrick Kinland and Maria Lovett. It's this sort of erotica thriller. And on that, I was looking at the backers and seeing a bunch of unfamiliar names. And then when I did my I did an update on Thirsty, just telling backers, I'm involved in this. I didn't write it, but I'm helping, staff it, pick the artists. So this is kind of up your alley, so check it out. And I began to see on Black Mask's page, I saw names come in that were familiar. I'm like, oh, that's my guy. That's my guy. That's my guy. You know,
Yep.
so I do recognize them. It's you know, people. I met some backers at Baltimore Comic Con too a couple of weeks back, and they always go up to me assuming that I won't know them because I don't know their face. But I'm like, no, what's your username, dude? Like, tell me that. And I'm like, oh, it's you.
Yes.
You back all the time. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my real name's not actually Demon Phil. I mean, it's not, you know, on the birth certificate or anything. So, exactly, you wouldn't know me if I come up and give you my real name. You kind of be like, okay, and
Yeah.
who are you?
Yeah.
Now, for number one, we've actually reached out to that particular campaign to get them on as a guest as well to talk about theirs because it caught my attention.
Oh, boom. I mean, I can help you there. That's that message is going to go to me and Pizzolo. So I'll help you out there. Patrick Killen is great, man. He to me, he is one of the most interesting voices in comics, period. His writing, great. His newsletter and his takes on what's going on in comics, just absolutely incredible. Really cool.
And secondly, I want to bring up is exactly the point that you made on there about you're actually, you know, building up someone else that's not, you know, your particular campaign that's going right now. It's something that you're helping out with, yes, but it's not your personal thing.
Right.
But you're still shining that spotlight on them. And I want to go ahead and emphasize that's awesome that you're doing that because too many people in this industry have gotten into the mode of, I need my money. I need my money. I need the spotlight on me. And it's so much that people are just not paying attention because they see a lot of, you know, frivolous, just kind of fighting over who's going to have that spotlight. Whereas whenever people like you go ahead and promote other people, I get emails from several of the people that I back. And I love it whenever at the bottom of the email, they go, hey, these are some campaigns you really need to pay attention to that are out there, even while their campaign is live. And I'm like, that is awesome. That's the best thing that I can see to do because that puts a spotlight on the industry, not on just an individual, which is cool because number one, it gives you kind of a buffet to look through of different things that you want to find and everything. But above and beyond that, it gives you more respect for the creators out there who are willing to put that spotlight on the industry above themselves. I give you mad respect for that, doing that, because that is something that we definitely need more of in this industry.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I mean, I'm happy to, you know, I'm excited whenever I hear people that I know in the industry who do well in the direct market. And when they want to come to Kickstarter, I'm like, please come. You know, it's going to be great for you and it's great for the overall crowdfunding community. You know, I can't say who it is, but I was talking to one of my favorite creators, a vet, about coming to Kickstarter, and they're going to do it. And I cannot wait. The perfect person to come to the platform. When it happens, I'll say who I was talking about, but okay. I cannot wait.
I'll be looking forward to that then too, because I love it whenever, because I've talked to plenty of creators who are actually a little terrified to come onto Kickstarter or to do crowdfunding because they don't think that they have good enough work. And there are so many people that suffer from imposter syndrome. I mean, you're talking to one right now here in a host that I fight it on a regular basis just because I'm honored and, you know, I've got enough people who are out here who are wanting to be on my shows. I have some amazing guests such as yourself that are up here that I'm kind of like, am I good enough to have people like you? But the way I look at it is, as long as I can get one person, just one, I go for the small wins on my shows, one person to go ahead and back your campaign or to reach out to you and say, I saw you on Demon Show, you know, great job on the interview. What do you have coming up in your project? Whatever it may be, that's a success to me. And that's the one thing that I love seeing what you're talking about with this creator that's going ahead and coming to crowdfunding. And you said it would be a perfect platform. It sounds like one of those deals where it's taking a little bit of a push to go, you really need to get over there. I think it's something that you would do really well out and people would really accept you. People are accepting more and more people on crowdfunding than a lot of people are aware. It's all in the education of what's available on crowdfunding. I think too many people think it's more of a, we go over there and we donate money and we get a few things thrown our way. It's not that, doesn't work that way. Crowdfunding, for everyone who is watching this thing who may not know for the way that it works, these are how basically dreams become reality on this. You're paying for, you know, the fulfillment. You're paying for the maybe some artists who are at the back end of it who haven't gotten paid yet. A lot of people like to pay them up front, but some people wait till the back end. And there are different things, you know, that you're working on with that you pay for.
Sure.
The main thing, though, is to go ahead and keep it going, to keep that consistency going. So we don't stop with one issue, two issues, whatever. We keep that world growing. That's what crowdfunding is. So whenever you go in there, you get the actual book and you get the experience of growing with the creator while they're doing everything as well through this. Don't miss out on this kind of experience. It's awesome to see this. And then you get to see people like my guest here, who is actually working on, you know, this is your 24th, 25th now, 25th.
25th, really?
Yeah, 25th.
Oh, maybe Kickstarter counts because I'm collaborator on Black Mask's.
That's probably what it is. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, but that way we get to see the progression of where you're going with this and how far you're going to go with this, which is awesome as well. So definitely, if you're kind of on the fence about crowdfunding, go check it out. Kickstarter is great too because it gives you a full amount of time for the campaign to go ahead and make sure you have funds in there. So if it's a 30-day campaign and you back it on day one, you have 30 days to make sure you have the money in the bank to go ahead and come through whenever it's done. And they even give you a 6-day grace period once it's over with, because they'll hit it for your bank. And then if it doesn't go through, you have 6 days to make that happen before it's shut off and you lose it.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
So they give you options on here. It makes it very simple to get the books in hand. It's something that I think a lot of people need to pay more attention to and kind of check into and see what's going on. And go ahead and go over there and I cannot stress enough. Use the power of that finger, the correct one if you can. Hit that share button. It costs you nothing to hit share whenever you're over there. If it's something that you financially cannot back, nobody's judging you by any means. We can't back everything that we want to. Trust me, I am going through that boat myself. If I could, I would have to have a bigger place to store everything and more money. It's a double-edged sword. But it costs you nothing to hit the power, use the power of that finger, hit the share button on there.
Yeah.
Because you can get more eyes involved in what's going on and do it that way. Again, it costs you nothing but time and very little bit of that to go ahead and do this. So I'm going to ask you a question right now, Pat, that I asked a lot of my guests this one on here because I am huge on the indies for one reason only, is the passion that you put into the industries is why I like the indies more than I do the other big two and everything on there.
Yeah.
So what is your definition? What does it mean to you to have passion in your work?
Oh, it means everything. It is what separates work that is constructed just to make a sale from art, what people actually care about. Like I care about selling books, but the reason that I do is because I chose this as my career because I couldn't imagine doing anything else. I love to do this. When I think about marketing, it isn't how can I get rich off of ideas. It's how can I make it so I can be comfortable doing this because this is the only thing that I have any interest in doing. I love to do it, and it shows in different ways. I'm not going to connect to every passion project because I like certain things in a story, but it's just that extra level of care. I'll see these campaigns where people might skimp on certain things like letters, or it might be printed on bad paper, and I'm just like, I know that you are so excited to get your book out there and you want to do it in a way that doesn't financially destroy you. I get it. But just if you take the next level of care, the next campaign is going to get you there. People really key into things that they see as passion, which is how not only what goes into the story, the characters, the art, but the actual physical product of the book. A comment that I got a lot when I printed Destiny New York Volume 1 was how people said that it feels as good or better than a book from a premium publisher. And I'm like, I would never give anything less. That's the bare minimum to me. Like, I want it to feel like it is a book that is cared about, that people see it as an item that I made with love, with care, with passion. Yeah.
Awesome. I mean, that's the way to do it. And the other part of that is whenever the campaign ends, I know for a fact, because like I said, I've backed some of yours as well. You don't stop there. I mean, you go through the whole communication process of books have been ordered, books are in, books are being shipped out, whatever the case may be. And sometimes there are delays. And if there are, you're like, okay, there's a delay.
Yeah.
and this is what we're doing about it. Or we can't do anything. We just want to let you know. At least there's the communication there. That is huge for new backers. I'm telling you right now.
Oh, 100%. That's my biggest advice, is that no matter what is going on in the campaign, update every month. I mean, why not? You know, there's not everyone knows this. And some people think that it's not there anymore. It's there. Backers, when 30 days have passed between an update, they can access a button where they can press it to remind the creator. My philosophy, and I've let that slip where I'll, instead of putting my update out on, like, for example, Prison Witch, I should update by the 11th of this month. I've let it go to the 12th, and I've gotten that notification because as soon as people see it, they'll be slamming that thing. You know, my philosophy is don't let them see it. You know, don't
Right.
be the one who lets that 30 days pass. Let it just update constantly to the point where, not where it's annoying, but where no one's ever wondering where the book is. Because the fact is, people read those. Not everyone does, though. So you also want to protect yourself just as a creator. Like, I've gotten a comment from someone on Thirsty, because Thirsty was, of all my books, it was the most impacted by delays for multiple reasons. Some which are a little bit funny in retrospect, but we took an extra month to show the PDF to customs to be like, listen, this is erotic. It is not obscene, though. Flag this to go through now. Look at it now, approve it now, so when it goes through, you can approve it easily. They said they did. Then the port had a huge delay because they, for some reason, they are the one aspect of this. Even the printers have recovered mostly. The port has somehow still not gotten their shit together post-COVID, you know? So it's stuck at the port for a long time, then goes to customs. And at that time, I'm like, oh, thank God we showed them the PDF. And then they just took forever again anyway. We might as well have not done that because they took forever anyway to approve it, you know? So everything that could have happened to Thirsty did. So as it was going through the final stages of customs, I got a comment from someone saying that, you know, the book funded at this date, but we haven't heard anything since. And I was able to be like, oh, you've heard everything since. Like, I have over updated. So I just, I like summarized a year of posts for them, and just in one comment, I was like, here's everything you've heard. I have not been slack in this part. The only part that I was like kind of like lagging in was things I couldn't control, and that is not ideal. And what I've done to combat that is I've moved printers. You know, my printer was in Taiwan, and the product was great, the communication was great, but the problem was that it goes to the port, and once that happens, I'm out of control, which I can't deal with. That I can't be out of control. So now I'm going to pay extra and print out of Canada. So that's not ideal for my bottom line, but in the long run, I'll be able to kickstart more frequently by not waiting so long for products, you know? So my philosophy is to take what is out of my control, assess why it's out of control, my control, and then put it in my control by changing my plan. So yeah.
Now, how many backers did you have for Thirsty? Do you remember roundabout?
I can look it up right now. Thirsty, that was at the time my biggest campaign. I think
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I think 1,200. Yeah, 1,249.
Okay, so
yeah,
keep that number in mind, everybody who's watching this, because I want to go ahead and let y'all know something right now. I back Thirsty, and I am one of these that was getting these emails that were coming through on a regular basis because I did go ahead and flag it through as not spam.
Yeah.
So I got everything. It got to a point where Pat was sending emails, and you could tell the frustration was there. He was like,
"Oh yeah.
I can't do a thing. It's in customs. I can't do anything about this. I feel so hands tied. Can't do a thing about this." So I reached out to him and I said, "Hey, I appreciate what you're doing. I appreciate the communication, and I appreciate the fact that you're going ahead and keeping us up to date. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep your head up."
Thank you.
I thought for sure it was just going to go through and just never be dealt with or whatever. I'm going to tell you right now, he replied back to me, and you could tell the sincerity in the reply that he was so appreciative of somebody who was actually uplifting him instead of going, "Where's my stuff? I paid for it. You're screwing me over." He wasn't screwing anybody over. In fact, he was doing everything he could to keep this thing going. And like I said, sometimes delays are there, but I'm going to tell you right now, everyone who's watching this, Pat is one of those guys that I can personally say, because I've dealt with this through him as a backer, he kept me updated. So therefore, I didn't look at it as, I'm getting screwed over or anything. In fact, I looked at it whenever I kept getting these things through, and whenever I got that comment back, I was like, you just turned me from a fan into a follower. You've got a guy who's going to be following all the stuff that you do from now on and making sure that other people know about this as well. So that was a huge thing for me, and it should be something that everyone who's watching this should learn from, because if you're a backer and you're on the fence about going ahead and because you're not sure if you're going to get your product or if it's not going to be done the right way or anything like that, I'm going to tell you right now, if you get it in, you'll get the communication and everything there. If something happens and it's not in the right way, I mean, we know the postal service can be fun with packages at times. I use that in a very air quote way. If that happens, I'm telling you right now, he will take care of you on whatever is going on with that.
Oh, yeah.
Because he wants to make sure that you get the product that you paid for. On the flip side of this, if you're a creator and you're watching this, something you can learn from, because you always want to go that nth degree. Whenever the campaign ends, it does not end. And Pat can definitely tell you that is true with that you keep going until the product is in the hands of the people and more. Because even then, he kept saying, I don't want to tell you about the next project that's coming out until you get this one in your hands. But he was chomping at the bit to let us know about the next project, this one that's coming out right now. But he wouldn't do it. And then as soon as it was out there and it was being shipped out, he was like, finally, I can tell you what's coming out. Get ready for it. Please, come over here and back this thing. Creators like this definitely need to exist more in the industry. And I thank you for doing that. And more people need to go ahead and understand the importance of what that is.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, that means a lot to me. I take in all that, messages like yours where you're, showing empathy for me as a creator and as a person and understanding. I remember all that, I take all that in and I'm very thankful for it. All those messages I remember. But also at the same note, every complaint, I want that person to end up happy. There's only been one time, and it was actually this week, where someone complained and I was like, oh, you're just mean. Someone was upset that on Cheeky, at the end of Cheeky, the update, I mentioned that I'm doing mixed magical martial arts, and they were upset that I've been name dropping other campaigns, and I would understand the frustration if that specific update weren't 2,000 plus word fulfillment of a stretch goal. Like,
right,
the update was fulfilling the campaign stretch goal, and it was about Exotica. I wrote this huge essay about it. I included a bunch of pictures, and at the end I did a small preview that was mostly art driven about this book. And the comment said something to the effect of you should let your projects get fans naturally. You shouldn't have to plug them. And it makes me think that maybe Cheeky is really shitty. And I was like, like it just someone who just seemed like they weren't gonna connect, and then there was no way that I could make them happy. That's the only time I've ever just refunded someone. I always strive to make everyone happy. There's been complaints that I don't agree with. There's been complaints where I'm like, oh, that's just, you don't like how I do things, but other people do. But I'm still gonna go the extra mile to make you happy. I want you to be happy. I want your overall experience to be good. Like someone mentioned that they wanted they were disappointed that the book plates in Thirsty weren't already stuck onto the book. And I'm like, I've printed book plates in every campaign I've ever done, and I've never had someone request that.
Right.
Ever. But that person wants that, so they assume everyone does. But in that situation, I was just like, I hear you. I'm sorry for your experience. In the future, if you want the book plate affixed, let me know where you want it, and I got you. Yep. But it isn't something that I'm going to do to everybody, because most people don't want that. They want the item untouched.
Right, exactly.
But yeah,
I mean, most of the time it's actually, bag and board. You put it at the back of the board on the back side. That way you can show off the cover on the front and then show the book, the plate on the back, and that way it shows off and it's not actually damaging the book in any way, just in case you want to go ahead and get it graded.
Exactly. There's a bunch of ways that people could do it, so that just the variety and execution makes me not ever even think to affix the book plate,
Right.
But at the same time, that complaint, even though I don't agree, I see it as valid because it's just what that person wants. So I'll go through any length to make that person happy for sure.
So if I tell you next time, whenever I back your stuff, that I want you to go ahead and sign my cover in crayon, you'll do that for me.
Hell yeah, dude. I mean, people will write specific things. Please sign it to this person, and that slows the process down because mostly their tier, I'll be able to just count. Go, all right, 24 books with the book plate. Bang, 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 just bang it out. That person brings the process to a halt, but I don't mind. Like that's totally fine to me. 100%.
Now, do you handle all the fulfillment yourself, or do you have someone else that works on that for you?
I do it all myself. I have had people come to my office to help. Like for example, last time my editor Shannon, she came through one day and she took the boxes. I was gonna put the bigger orders in, and she like wrote a list of which books we need from the storage unit. We drove down there, got the books, and then she put in the boxes what's going to be in there. So when I then went back and like bubble wrapped everything and just set it all up, I already had them all sorted. But as far as printing the postage, wrapping the packages in bubble, putting them in mailers, taking them to the post office, every single package that has gone out from Space Between is me.
I mean, that's both awesome and terrifying because I mean, you're talking about 1,200 backers on Thirsty. That's a lot of stuff to go through there, and that's dedication to what you, because you actually got eyes on your product as it goes out the door and everything. Once it hits the postal service, it's been through your hands, everything's been fine. So as soon as it goes to the backers, if they have complaints, they're valid at that point because nothing else is messed up.
Oh, 100%, 100%. It's Kickstarter. I do all of our Etsy stuff as well. It's I ship quite a lot because I also do some eBay stuff. So it's become second nature to me. But I do sometimes, if the company begins to be successful to a new level, I'll look into some help there just because I would love to write more. Because Cheeky has almost exactly double the backers of Thirsty, so that's gonna.
Wow.
It's going to be quite a to-do to ship that.
Nice. But I mean, it's a welcome problem to have. And again, you're going to go ahead and keep the communication going through the whole process and be like, okay, my arm went completely numb today. I could only finish this many on here. You get the rest of them tomorrow and I'll start shipping out or whatever. You're still keep that much communication in there because you're still having fun, because even though it's hard work to get everything done, it's something that people are going to start getting in their hands and they're going to start enjoying your dream coming to reality at that point.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah, there's nothing like it, and it makes, obviously there are days where I would prefer to be writing than shipping books. That's true. But when I start to hear back and people are getting it, it's like, oh, this is so cool. It's so cool that people have it now. It was once not a thing. It was just an idea. And now people have it in their hands and are enjoying it and want more. That's awesome to me.
Now, the last question I'm going to ask you before we go ahead and kind of start winding this down is, and it's based on, because I'm actually going to go ahead and bite the bullet, and I'm actually creating my own book that's coming out next year.
Nice.
For the first time. I am terrified, but I'm going to go ahead and go through it. My question is, how did it feel? What were the emotions that were going through you the first book that you had with your name on it in your hand?
Oh, the best. It was Angel Yearbook at IDW. It was the Buffy spinoff, and it was their last issue of that before the title moved to Dark Horse. So
wow.
I felt so lucky. I felt like something was changing. I felt change in the air. I ordered, I think, 45 copies to my comic shop, and I remember that day and what I was doing before I picked it up. I remember so much of that day. there's nothing like it. You know, there's you kind of relive it every way when new books that you printed, wrote, published come in. You know, I every time a new volume of Destiny in the Year comes in, I do feel a bit of that day. Um, but now even I've been doing this 11 years, so I will not lie. Getting comps from a work for hire project, it's cool, it's fun, but
Mhm.
there is nothing like that first day and then when your main book comes through. Those days just it's like a piece of heaven, you know?
Nice.
Yeah.
I definitely look forward to that. That's going to be like I said, still terrified, but looking forward to it. Even if I only get enough printed for my own self because it doesn't go through for whatever reason, it's still got my name on there with my
Yeah.
product. It's like I did it. It's just a cool thing there.
100%. No, it is it's the day where it all feels real. There are parts of it throughout the process that feel so cool. So cool to see art come through. My favorite process of the actual production is when letters come in, because then I can see how it actually reads, and
Right.
I can see if it's good enough, and if it's not good enough yet, I can save it. But yeah, the actual best part is the physical is receiving the item. It's unrivaled. It's great.
Nice. Well, I mean, I'm telling y'all right now, if you want to go ahead and make sure he gets that great feeling of heaven in his hands again whenever he gets the product in from MMMA, which is on Kickstarter right now, and I've actually got the link right here, and it is embedded in the feed, so you don't have to memorize what's going across the screen. But it's on all the feeds that are out there. Go check it out. Go see what you want to go ahead and which tier you want to go ahead and grab and everything. But like I said, more importantly, not everybody can financially back. Everybody knows this. So use the power of that finger, the correct one if you can. Hit that share button.
Yes.
Get this thing shared out and get more people involved. As it stands right now, 427 backers strong on this. And we've definitely got a following that's on here that we can reach out to more people and get more people involved. So let's go ahead and create Fight Night out of this. I'm going to give Pat full screen on this, and he's going to let you know why you need to get over there and get MMMA and do it now and not wait any longer.
Sure. Mixed magical martial arts. It combines the most exciting elements of fantasy, sports, romance, comedy, and drama in a tight, exciting, kinetic story. It has amazing art by Patrick Mulholland. I wrote this thing with Kevin Cuff and Bob France, who are the team behind Metal Shark Bro. When I read that book for the first time, I was laughing out loud. I couldn't believe how cool it was. Now we're bringing our shared energy together onto this book. When reading the proof, I laughed out loud. I love creating this book. It has the same passion as I used to create Destiny New York. It's in that universe as well. So if you're a fan of that book, please come through and enjoy and support. But for new readers too, it is a nice, tight, one and done story it blends an underdog story with a kind of all out brawl. It's exciting in every way from page to page. And I think that anyone who reads it, whether you're a fan of the universe or brand new to it, I think you'll enjoy it very much.
There you go. So you definitely need to get over there and check it out. And again, I want to go ahead and reiterate that this thing is done up with people who aren't fans of the sporting network that this is kind of based around. And it caught me off guard. I'm looking at it like, okay, these are mega fans that did this, and finding out that they're not, I'm really impressed with this book. So y'all need to go check this out because y'all already know what a big wrestling fan I am. So this is definitely something that is right down my alley, and it should be down your alley as well.
Thank you.
But Pat, I certainly appreciate you being here tonight and spending the time to go ahead and get to know you a little bit better, get to know your product, your brand, and everything that's going on. And I look forward to getting you back on here talking about some more stuff and hopefully about the other project that we talked about as well. So we can go ahead and get y'all on here to talk about the one that just launched, and I think it's got like 21 days on it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We have it's called Don't Avert Your Eyes. It's from Black Mask. It's their first Kickstarter. The creators are Patrick Kinlan and Maria Lovett. It actually just funded while we were on here.
Nice. That is awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Well, again, thank you for being here. I'm going to put you backstage right now. If you want to hang out, I'm going to do my closing, and I'll be back there very shortly.
I'll be here. Thanks, man.
All right. Very cool. We had Pat Schand on here. We're talking about MMMA, Mixed Magical Martial Arts on Kickstarter. had a great conversation about what's involved in it, what goes in the process and all, and what's going on with the campaign itself, and how to build the brand that's been building over there. Now, I always have a closing statement. Tonight's not going to be any different. Tonight, I kind of base it on one word statement that goes along with my guest. And tonight I've got to go with, it's kind of a crossover here. I got to do either passion or I've got to do, something a little different there. I'm going to go with passion on this one simply because I don't want to go ahead and be the one who rides the same back of something that I've done before. But we were talking about a creator who got so passionate about his work that whenever delays came through, there was definitive stress going on with him, and it was showing in the communication that was out there through the emails to the backers, and telling them, I'm sorry you haven't gotten your stuff yet. I will make this right. I want to go ahead and stress this as much as possible because I was one of those that was getting these emails, and I can only imagine so many people were getting upset because they weren't getting them at the time. All it takes sometimes is a kind word to these creators, and they remember why they're doing this, and they remember the good parts of doing these things. So whenever you're talking about passion in what you do, remember there's also passion in how you respond to the creators, and likewise. Keep in mind this is not only industry-based, it's life-based as well. Go ahead and speak to someone with the respect and the passion that goes along with the way that you would like to be treated, and you never know, you might get it roundabout right back to you. So until next time, I certainly appreciate y'all being here and watching. This has been hell of a show. We've had a hell of a guest, and we're looking at more coming up in the very near future. So until next time, keep it indie, y'all.
Settle into sockets, flip the switch and watch them run. Take it back, the crowd. I'm all dressed up and naked. I see what's money taking. Oh yeah, the crowd. So close I can taste it. I see what